Okay, what you find in my CV or in Wikipedia is an official presentation, because usually I do not share all my details. But because you have that topic, and this topic is something that I really feel with my heart, I will tell you a few more details that you will not find in Wikipedia. I lived, as I said, in Vojvodina, in Pančevo. I studied journalism and dramaturgy. I worked as a copywriter, screenplayer, art director, and creative director. And then I quit all this and decided to be just a freelance. And I'm a freelance for most of my life. So 10 years working for someone, and everything else I'm working just for myself and actually for the community. I'm running the biggest non-government project in Slovenia for 17 years. And specific of that project is that we never, ever ask for a funding, European or government funds. We made money to do what we feel that we want to do. If you're interested, you will find, I bring some of our newsletters that we are publishing every month now for 13 years. Today, we had the 500th issue of our electronic news. I wrote 23 books. Half of them are translated in German. And how everything started? It started that my father has very cruel rules. As long as you eat my bread, everything in house will be as I said. You know that. So when I was 19, I felt that I could not operate with such limitations. And I wrote a short note, starting today, I will eat my own bread. And I left the house. And then I put the small ad in newspaper that I'm cooking for the people with the health problems. So that was my first job. I go to the green market, buy the food, and cook for the people with the cancer and other health limitations, because I also had a lot of health limitations as I was a kid. So food and my freedom are very closely connected through all these years. I was involved in opening of the first organic shop in Belgrade, Biospajs. It exists today. We did it with nada. And then the Chernobyl rain washed us when we did the roof by ourselves, so that I have some, they call it heavy water in my lungs. Since then. After this, I worked on a project for developing the creativity among the young people. Maybe in Serbia you know that, Omladinske radionice. In my first actually book that I wrote with the team that we did it was when I was 20 years old. And it was 40 years ago. So I'm near 60 now. So since then, I worked a lot as a ghostwriter. A lot of good books was signed by other people. But as I said, I wrote enough my books too. And very important for me always was that I'm capable to take care of myself, and that I don't have any loans, no credits at all, if you want to have a free mind. Because the moment when somebody feeds you, it can direct your life on one way or another. So the reason maybe why we are so successful, I really don't have to take care about money anymore. These days I'm capable to help others, but the way to achieve that is not so easy. You know, each time when I left some job or when I divorced, I really left the material part behind me, because I knew that if I keep my energy and my free spirit, I will be capable to create whatever I want. It's not an easy challenge, you know, when you face it. Because I faced, you know, we live in wild Balkans. We faced a lot of things. My friends were in Sarajevo. Losha left with the last plane. We did the project together in that very moment. And I also left the Belgrade in the moment with Arkan paramilitary organization blew up our house with a dynamite just to steal things from there. Then that smell of how do you call smudnik? Gunpowder. I still have, you know, you never forget it. Then I decided to leave Yugoslavia, or ex-Yugoslavia, so I left in Milan first, and then in New York, and then I come back to Slovenia. Okay, it's not important. Important, what I want to tell you is that I always felt that key source of my creativity is that no one needs to feed me or to buy me something. And when you're free, then you have the energy that is that other people feel. So I do not sell informations today. What I'm selling is that people, when they see me, they see that this is what I'm living. And I think that this is more important than the books that I wrote. Today, we're living in very wild times. You know, when I look back, you know, I see a lot of lives within my life. Most of you are at the beginning of that road. And sometimes when I think, oh my God, would I be happy to be 20 years now? I must be honest, I do not envy you. You will have much, much bigger challenges that we had. My challenges were not small. I was a refugee. I waited in lines in Slovenia in bureaucracy for 3 years to get working papers. So I know a lot of things that I felt on my skin, but it's nothing compared with things that are coming. You were not capable to see my garden because of flood. You know that we had arranged a visit, and that flood was the biggest ever in Slovenia. 2/3 of Slovenia was flooded. But I'm sure that this is not the worst that we will see. We're helping a lot, we renovate the things now, but there is a lot of things that we will see. And our primarily existence will depend on how capable we are to be really resilient in the practice. You could not be free mind if your stomach is empty. And some other things are important too. So what else besides food you think is important if you want to be resilient? What else is crucial for your life? Sorry? Principles? Principles. Okay, principles. What else?
Knowledge, skills.
Skills, okay. Knowledge, skills, experience. Awareness. Okay, we are talking about that psychological level. What on a basic physical level? Water. Air. If somebody just close or poison our air, we are finished in 1 minute, as you know. There is something that can kill us even faster. What it is? Sun. Sun, oh no. Okay, electromagnetic pulse from sun can do it. And actually, electromagnetic fields. Electromagnetic fields, vibrations are something that can kill you immediately. Or slowly, depends. But people neglect this because that kind of poison is invisible. Usually we see the visible ones like water, food. What else? Fire, of course. But do you know that you may freeze much faster than you die from thirst? If you are on frost, you may freeze in ½ hour, maximum 1 hour. Without water, you may live a few days. There is a lot of things that our generation didn't have to think about because it was not a problem in our time, but is getting more and more problematic in this time we are living. And you will see how it will get even worse in the near future. So if we just look what elements are let's say, the challenge for our bodies. I do not telling now about the mind, because, you know, if your body is destroyed or in a problem, forget the free mind. Creative people, we like to say that we feel something in our gut. You know that, gut feeling. But it's physically correct. We really feel the creativity and that what the intuition here. Brain and the gut are closely connected. They call it, it's a second brain of our body. So if I eat something that makes me sick, believe me, I have a fog in my head. You cannot think clearly if you have a very dirty situation down here. So this is why it is very important that we take into consideration that physical aspect, because without that, forget any creativity and freedom. And this is the way where those who want to control that planet are working very hard. That level of vibrations, this is the strongest kind of poison that our grand-grandma never experienced. But we have a lot of electromagnetic influences, and a lot of new weapons they are developing based on that new technologies. And it's very hard to say, when do you really feel your problem and when somebody is creating your problem? You know, when I wake up at 2 in the morning without reason, I send a message to my friends and I say, are you okay? And half of them say, I don't know, I wake up at 2 in the morning and I don't know why. Then I know that it's not my dinner causing a problem, but it is something from outside. Radars that are moving, military exercising around us, satellites or whatever. We cannot change it. But anyway, we need to try to make us stronger on the fields where we can. Air is a problematic. I lived in the second dirtiest place in ex-Yugoslavia, Pančevo, 17 chemical plants, petrochemical complex and whatever. So now I'm living in the wood. It's a completely different story when the air smells. Today, I will not speak a lot about water, shelters and other things, but it's very important. You see, maybe you walk through Ljubljana. Ljubljana is not building houses and building bunkers because the most expensive places in Ljubljana are the places where I will never live, no matter, even if they pay me. Because once when you feel how space influences your thoughts, your mind, your sleep, you take care that you're on healthy spaces. Unfortunately, the whole new architecture, furniture, materials are extremely toxic. Living in concrete is very unhealthy. And my friend is working in, they call it building biology. So many health problems are caused by the spaces we are living now. If you live in a wood house or you call it ilovica, glina, mud houses, this is much, much more healthier. And many people really recover when they move from, you know, big skyscrapers to normal, healthy houses. You know, it's nothing new. Even 30 years ago, CIA wrote that those that will control water, food, and energy will be able to control everything, and that power of countries will be measured with the ability of country to provide all this. Imagine now in Slovenia, we have all our food production more or less flooded. How strong we are. Can we say that we will not sign something because we are free-minded people? We will even sign that we accept the new gen-modified organisms because Ursula wants it, because we need some help from Europe. The moment when you need to beg for food, for water, for help, you are not in a position to say, we are not happy about what is going on in Tibet, we are not happy about this and that in Palestine, because we have to sold our souls for food.
I don't agree with that, actually. In Gaza, Gaza is a poor city, and the majority of the resistance of Palestine came from Gaza. So I think that, my opinion, that the resistance comes from the need of these things.
I agree with you. Also in the Balkans, that mathematics doesn't work. We are crazy enough in the Balkans to work against ourselves just to prevent our freedom. But most of the world is playing according to that rules. And those that want us to play, they're creating a lot of crises with the aim then to force their solutions. But I agree with you, and it's the only hope we have. That there is something that cannot be broken by famine. But let me ask you something. Did you ever stayed in line for bread? Not in supermarket, in that line for bread. Bread that will save you from starving. None of us has that experience. Another question is, do you think that you will live all your life without staying in that line? How big probability you think is that you will experience famine in your life? Let's say, who thinks in your lifetime, who thinks that it will be inevitable? Can you raise the hand? 1, 2, 3. Who thinks that it is a 50-50 chance? Okay. Others are thinking that we will be without this. It's very hard to say. I'm not, you know, the people that will make the prophecy, but now we have the unique situation that we never had before. We have a few people, it's not 1%, it's much less. They call themselves elite. And first time in a human history, they really have enough money that they could change the rules in a way that we never experienced that before. And they realized that if they control the food, they control everything. And they're working hard on this for about 30 years. As I said, I was in marketing and I worked for the big corporation like Master Foods, Procter & Gamble, pharmaceutical companies. And I saw the backstage, the things that ordinary people will never see. And it was 30 years ago. And it was ugly enough. Now, things are getting worse every day. And I think that famine, the starving, is really around the corner. And the main reason why it can happen is that half of you think that it will not happen. You know, we are thinking about other things. We are thinking the problems are coming from other areas. And when in Europe, we had that, to sign the petition against that new GMO, you know how many people signed that? 0.1%. 400,000 people. Europe has 400 million people. 0.1%. Of course, that Ursula will just laugh and say, we may do whatever we want because people do not care. People do not care because, as you said, you never was in a bread line and you think that somebody will take care that it will never happen. And those who will make that happen, they know that then you will not have any chance except to stay in that line or to be on prana. This is one of the way out that is very legitimate if you decide to go into that direction. So yes, with spiritual power, we are very resistant. Not endlessly, but we are very resistant. But tell me how big percentage of people will decide to go through that narrow road? Very little. So why I believe that famine is around the corner? It could come from different sources. Nature can make it. Power of nature, as we saw on that flood, is very, very big. Stupidity is an even greater risk, and greed is the biggest. I will not show you the pictures about the flood. I'm sure that you saw them millions in these days. Are you? But did you ever learn in school that 200 years ago, Europe had 2 years without sun because of volcano eruption? We didn't learn that. I'm interested to know because I think that our schools are not teaching about this. You said that you know?
No, I don't know.
You know for that from school? Yeah. Really? Good teachers.
No.
Now, can you imagine that, as you see, that blue-violet part was affected with one volcano that erupted in Indonesia. And Europe had 2 years without sun. Do you imagine that this is how the sky looked for 2 years? And because of acid rain, of course, the food was useless. The lot of illnesses was, the animals, domestic animals were dead. On the River Thames in England, everything was frozen, and the ice on the sea destroyed the ships, so even the transportation was impossible. On Thailand, they had the snow, and during the August in Hungary, there was the snow too. And as effect of this, in August they had a snow also for 6 days in America that destroyed the total crop of corn. Just to get idea what can happen just like this. And now another news, because we live in a liberal capitalism and free markets, there are only few countries in that world that are taking care to have, we call it blagovne rezerve, food supply for the population in case that something happened. How do you call it? Državne rezerve, yeah. They exist on the paper now, but in the practice, they are just few percentage of what we had in, let's say, ex-Yugoslavia. Only Russia, China, Severna Korea, those are the countries that are taking care about that supply. Others are believing, oh, we will buy it somewhere in case of need. And what if the case of need happens in a lot of countries simultaneously? Then we call it, then the shit hits the fan. You know that? Yeah. And it's not the lonely example. The last one happened only 30 years ago, and 300,000 people died from that last eruption and the problems with the food. And we never heard about that, or we read just a little in our newspapers. The second cause for the famine could be our stupidity that we call monoculture. You know, we live in a capitalism where everything must be very efficient, everything must be XX large, and we forget to learn from history that monoculture is a short way to disaster. You wanted to say something? Monoculture is when you have only one crop on a big, big land. When you do not combine different plants, but you have just the wheat, just the corn, you know, just the olives. All agriculture today is more or less monoculture because it's efficient, you can do it by machines. But not so far ago, Ireland had a big, big starving because the one illness just destroyed their potato. Potato was then just on 30% of the land, not 100%. And millions of people died. And most of them then go to America and then started the life in a new life in America. Can you imagine only one stupidity that you put only one sort of potato on 30% of the land? And 1 million people died and few millions are forced to left. We have also the example near us. A kdo iz Dalmacije? Nemamo kandidata, ali Mostar vam ni daleko, ne? Ne vem, če veste, in the last century, when the one illness destroyed the grape in France, then the wine was very expensive. Of course, France without wine. And then Dalmatia get the chance of the century because they could sell the grapes very expensively, or wine. And everybody worked just to make as many vineyards as possible. And they really had the gold era that lasts, unfortunately, 15 years. After that, the same illness, phylloxera, came to Dalmatia and destroyed vineyards just like that. And because they destroy all other plants, no figs, not almonds, nothing else, everything was just the vineyards, they didn't have anything to eat. For us, it's impossible, if you go to the coast, you say, you have fish, you have figs, you have everything. No, they have now. And that time they didn't have. And they were forced to leave immediately. And then the Dalmatia was desertified. People just left. This is why we hear such a nice songs that they sing to their coast and each stone, because this pain is still in people. And this is how it looks. It was a desert. People just jump to the first ship or to the first train and go somewhere. And I know that story because my grandpa is on that picture. He left the Dalmatia when he was 14 years ago, and he was forced to work in a mine, rudnik, in Belgium. After that, he worked in Visokih Pečeh in tako naprej. Ampak he didn't know will he arrive in Belgium. You know, when you do not eat 7 days, and you're in train, and you hope that you will arrive somewhere before you die. This is my grandfather. It's not so far away. We think that something like this cannot happen. But if we just look a little bit in our past, we will find a lot of examples on this. And today, risk that something like that happens is bigger than ever. Because all this that I told you happened in old time, without mechanization, without agriculture, without that degenerated seeds that are even more sensitive to the illnesses, etc. Do you know the fact that 80% of seeds that we need for the next year we plant this year? So we hope that we will get seed to plant something next year. What if not? 80% of the main crops are on a yearly basis. We do not feel, I'm not talking about seed banks, because seed banks are exclusivity, it's just the 0.1% of all seeds. But seeds of corn, of wheats, of things that we need for our daily life, for your bread. What if our seed production is flooded? Or some fire or something destroyed? You think it's impossible? It is a very, very possible scenario, but no one cares, because then we will be even more ready to accept the GMO and other things. And of course, the third cause that accelerate all this is greed. Power, money, control. People think that if they have money, they can control everything. And they really, first time in human history, all sources are invested just in getting more and more control. From, you know it, from different sources, I will not. So the risks are really great. And the food market, this is the part that I know very well, become a minefield from day to day. I have hundreds of films like this, but this is one example of how things are working. Just let me see. So, I mean, I don't know, do you know, but all lobster meat, fish meat, poultry meat is colored. Otherwise, it has a gray color, but in the food, it is allowed to add some colorificants so that it gets that nice appetitlich color at the end. The eggs are colored. So if you can even choose the color of the yolks that your egg will have. And from day to day, once I was in winter, I like sweets, and I ate strawberries, and they had such a wonderful smell. And I know that it's a hydroponic strawberry. It could not be otherwise in January. And I asked that friend that has a sweet shop, where did you find that such a nice strawberries? And she says, no, it's a loud perfume for the strawberries. Yes, in the same way, it is allowed to color food. It is allowed to add perfumes. So perfume of strawberry, you just spray, and then it smells like a strawberry. Otherwise, you know, when the hydroponic food has no smell, and this is how you can smell what is a natural growth strawberry or not. I researched the food for 15 years, but in one very moment I says, it makes no sense. When we discover something, it is in use already 10 years. And I says, it's much better to support people to start to produce their own food. It's the only safe things. Even certificates and other things are not always clear. And the only what will really make us resistant is that we are owners of our own food. And of course, there's a lot of people that want to do it, and YouTube is full of ideas. But if you see it, it doesn't mean that it's true. And one of the films, it's a typical bullshit of the thousands of YouTube, looks like this. Sorry, but peppers will not grow, and these seedlings are not pepper but cucumbers. From the corn, you will never make the corn. Haha. You know that. You saw a lot of it. Yeah, this is the biggest one. You know, the walnuts need to frost for a few years before it starts to sprouting. And after 30 years, you will have this, yes. And this will just bloom. It will not produce the leaves, but it will go and bloom. Chamomiles will not grow if you put the seeds on top because it is a svetlokalivka. It means it must be on light if you want that something comes. There is a lot of examples like this. Yeah. There is a lot of examples like this, and when I had a workshop how to make your own seedlings, we do it all around Slovenia, then people call me, I seeded yesterday and nothing came out. This is how I know that they really get serious, that things. And then you're demoralized and you say, oh, it doesn't work. Yeah, things are working, but not so fast. I will show you the 3 examples of the gardens that I hope you will see in real, but now you will see it on pictures, and how we did it. Of course, I also have some Arab land where it's very easy to grow food, but we wanted to show that it is possible to grow food even in area where nobody with IQ over 60 will start. And this, what you see, is one field where even grass, even one cow will not survive because the grass is very bad. We have just the 10 centimeters of soil, and if you do like this, everything will, you will hear echo because it's a big, huge cave on the bottom. It's a crust. Slovenia karst. And this is one of the biggest, we are on the ceiling of one very big cave here. And this is why nothing is here. But we said, okay, let's start. You see, it was 89, sorry, not 89, but 18, 218. I have a problem with the dates, 218. And then we started, you know, I studied the permaculture, biodynamic, eco-agriculture, and we started with the simplest possible methods. We tested a lot of methods. We tested a lot of bullshit that doesn't work, and we also find some very good approaches that will work. So imagine that you want to produce your own food. You don't have money to buy Arab land, or there is no Arab land. In Slovenia, everything is booked. We have a very little Arab land. And if you want to start, and you are not a farmer, you will never be able to buy the Arab land because the farmer always has advantage to buy before you. So we say, let's start with non-Arab land. And we just put boards, you see. And this is where we plant the garden, And this is where we plant the line with berries and things like that. First year, this is how it looks. On that board, we just dig some soil krtine. Veste kaj je krtina? How they call mole. When mole make the little moles are making the holes. Yeah, you know. So this is what we pick up, and we put that just around the plants. Everything else was just the leaves, the grass, and the material that we get. 1 year later, inside, we had already some composted material so that we could put some potatoes, tomatoes, beans, and what else working well? Rotbet, cvekla. Cikla, cvekla, rdeča pesa, rotbet, whatever. So, as you see, we started on year 19, so it's 2 years later. And if you look here, you will see that some part of material is already composted. We always put as a protection layer so that I don't have plevele, grasses. I always put the boards, and then we put some plants. And this is how it looked last year. It's still not the soil. So we are practicing how to produce soil out of nothing. We didn't both one bag of soil. Everything was just what we collected, organic materials. Also wool, cotton, because here there is no rain, we just put the all cotton shirts, you know, like this, and then you just make little balls of wool or cotton, and this is what accumulates the water, and then plants are having. So we didn't both anything. And 3 trees is what we really pay for the plants. We produced all our seedlings by ourselves. Otherwise, nothing will work. You know, it's a very cruel area, and last year it was very, very dry. And this is the beginning of the year, and this is the end of last year. As you see, the tobacco worked well also on that area. And we produce a lot of food. It's a 50-meter of garden that we created on that side. We also created a very nice herb garden. And what you saw in the beginning, you remember that boards? 3 years from there is this. So, but all that plants, different berries, and different roses, etc. Everything was from our plants. Plants that are also used to that climate and to that soil. You cannot go in to buy some fast-made plant because everything is dying if you do not take care and add hormones. So you see the small picture in the corner? This is the after 3 years. And this is how it looks this year. And I finally get the gate, because now everything works so well that people even coming to pick up something. So we decided that we need a gate. And this is how we made the garden. This picture I took 1 month ago. And now a lot of people even come to see and to learn how to make garden out of nothing. We have the starovekovne, kako se reče, srednjeveške sorte vrtnic. Srednji vek, middle age, yeah? Roses from different monasteries that are smelling fantastic so that we can produce marmalades and hydrolats and different things. And we have a lot of berries that are working very, very well. So this is our soul garden. Let's see another story. We have a garden that has some soil, but soil is useless. So when I started 2017, we didn't produce anything. It's really only food for insects, because they eat what I put in that field, and then we said, no way. We must do it in a different mode. And then we decided to use all our knowledge from permaculture and biodynamic to reorganize the garden. It means that, well, if somebody wants to see, this is the whole process is in that book, but we had to dig ½ meter, put a lot of leaves, a lot of layers of material, and then we put the soil on the top. So it looks like a normal garden, but actually it's the raised bed. But it's not in a box, but it's in a soil. And when we reorganized this, and also the problem here was, you don't see it, but its angle is about 25–30%. So the whole water, you know, is splashing. And because I'm from Vojvodina, I need to have a flat. I don't know how to stay if there is no any flat line. So at least one flat line must be. So you see, we used all that. It's a forest garden. We used all material from the forest to make the beds. And this is how it started. And this is how it looked 2019. And now it's even better because every year we find a way to find some new beds and to produce a lot of things. But we're learning from nature. Yesterday I picked up our potato, but we don't have a potato on one place. We have potato on 10 places, you know. One line here, one line there. We start one, let's say, in April, one in May, one late May. Why? Yeah, you never know what weather you will have. You never know who will come to steal something. And you never know what vuluchar, how do you call vuluchar? This is that small mouse that is eating potatoes. So if he finds one line, he will not find another one. Yesterday we dig first 50 kilos of potatoes, and we have another 50 to pick up. But as you see, most of the things, it's not so clear here. I always have one line of something, and then another thing, and then third thing. Only garlic and onions they do not like to have neighbors. Everything else we always combine. For example, this is a potato that we dig yesterday, but potato and the beans, and in case, you know, that something destroys my potato, I still have beans. And this moment when we dig the potatoes, we already put the salads and other things inside, so that we have about 3 crops during the 1 year on the garden. We don't need, as you see, no plastic, we use some nets to protect, but nothing else. And when you're working on one small area, you may control everything. This is what one big farmer cannot do. And this is the advantage. With a little money, we may produce everything we need. They told me, am I afraid that people will come and steal something? I said, I'm not, because people are going to steal from the big fields when they park their car, and then they took, 100 zeljni glav, kako se reče, glavica kupusa, cabbage or something. In my garden, they will spend ½ hour looking where the cabbage is. So it's a waste of time. Particularly because you cannot park here. Yeah. So this is a picture from this year. You really must be an expert in botanics to steal in my garden. because, you know, things are not so clearly visible. Okay, you may steal my paprika and potatoes or a tomato, but then you have a problem. What next? And this is a natural protection. When we have a frost in Slovenia 2 years ago, our cherry, it's a tree, cherry tree, was frosted on the south. But this one that is on the north side was safe. If we had everything together, we will have a problem. So this is something that through the years of experience, we really come to the conclusion that if you work that way, you really maximize your yield and you don't have a problem. People ask me, okay, but can I make a living out of this? Does it make a sense? Does it have some economical value? Okay, I do it for a hobby, for my research, for my books, but what about economical sense of everything? I must tell you that our farmers, they lie them. They force them non-stop to invest in new protections, in new technologies, in new mechanization, and farmer must pay all that, seeds and all that equipment, and if they produce something, they will have some profit. But what if we have some rain, some floods, some drought, some sun, or whatever? Then everybody is paid except the farmer. You know that situation. The one who sold the seeds is paid. The one who sells the gasoline is paid. The one who sells the tractor is paid. But finally, the farmer is hungry. I think if you think about being resilient, you must totally change the way you're thinking. Think how to make as little cost as possible, and then you're free. Because you don't have loans, you don't have debts, and you can easily change. For example, if I see that it's a very wet season, no problem. I know that tomatoes will not go well, and I immediately put cabbage, broccoli, and other things that will do well. But if I had 2 hectares, I cannot do it. I don't have a proper mechanization. I don't have a proper housing and everything else for that plants. And as long as you stay small size, you have a very, very big field what to do. You will never be hungry. And this is the way, actually, how you will also make some income out of this. But we must understand that yield is not income. Yield is something that others will take from you. Income is how much you will have at the end of the story. So let's see what we produced. Another garden, we had one overgrown grassland with slopes like this. You know, I'm biting my knees when I'm walking on that. But because of that area, it's a super for fruits. Why? Because you always have wind and you don't have illnesses like glivice, fungus, because, you know, it dries very well. And you will see these are our aronia 2 years ago, not even bigger. These are our blueberries, our maline su, kaj su maline, berries, some of berries. We have a lot of berries. Raspberries, thank you. Raspberries. And then people ask, but how you can have so much fruits without watering? You know how water is expensive? Water is not expensive if you are thinking, and this is how we fix it. On few places, we just dig the hole, put some folia, And when we need the water, we just open another plastic, collect the 10 cubic meters of water, and then we take the plastic out. And you will see it even better on another picture. You see it here. This is a 12 cubic meter pond. We collect the water here, and then here we have the stones to make it clear. Then it goes in one big plastic bottle, and then when it's clear, it goes into that pond. But last year, it was without rain. And we were afraid that our plants will be very thirsty. So what we did, we just opened, the new plastic one evening before the rain. We collected the rain, and we take the plastic out. And, again, cost of water, 0. We don't have a water on that area, but our plants are having enough water. We collect it a few times a year. And it doesn't cost us almost nothing. Actually, it cost us 300 euros to buy that plastic. And then we have the system without electricity just to distribute that water on the places where we need it. What I want to tell you in the practice, permaculture and biodynamic works. It really works. We have resistant, healthy plants. We do not need any artificial chemical protection. We use teas. When I prepare the tea for drinking, we use teas also for the plants. And this is all we need. People ask me, what about the pest management? Yes, we have a pest control. Pest control looks like this. Our chickens are the best pest control. Yeah, this chicken, we have 10 chickens, and when I put them in greenhouse, nothing's left. They find everything. Everything, I mean different insects or larvae or eggs or whatever. And also our trees, we put a lot of grass around the tree, and then we, in the autumn, we just let our chickens to dig to find the worms and everything. And they also eat all that pests that are, that worms that will go in your apple. So we have the very clear, clean fruits because our chickens are taking the pest control. And of course, they're taking care about fertilizing. And when they check your bed, raised bed, you don't need to dig. They really dig very nicely. So it's, plus we have eggs. So we convert insects into eggs. We will not eat insects, but we will let our chicken to convert them. This is how the pest management works. And last year's, we also working very hard to have our own seed bank and to have our own plants. We see that seeds are very, very weak. And I'm very sorry, some people are having a lot of enthusiasm, but if you work with with the bad seeds, you cannot produce the healthy plant. So I'm running one association in Slovenia. We have 500 members, some oskrbnih, and we exchange seeds, we exchange all that. Those are my seedlings. And we also exchange the seedlings on a regular basis. Because one person cannot do everything. You can imagine, I'm not on field all day. This is something that I can do 2 to 3 hours per day. I have a lot of other things to do. But if we cooperate with others, it's much, much easier. And this is why, for example, in Škofja Loka, we have 35 people cooperating together. So if one is not lucky with some plant, another one is having everything. And this is how we exchange things. This is the group that produced the potato together. So they book one field, 10 of them, and they put the potato, and they took the care of that potato, and now they produced 3 tons of potato for 10 people. It's very good. They could eat only potato next year if they want. Also, we have the shared care for the chickens. For example, I cannot go, on my holidays if I have chickens. When I had chickens for my own, I didn't go anywhere for 2 years. And I say, it's too much. It's too much. I didn't have a holidays because of 5 chickens. But now we decided to have that as a group custody. It means everybody paid for 5 chickens, 4 of us, 20 chickens, and then 1 week I take care about all of them, and I pick up all eggs. Next week I forget about the chickens. And this is the very simple things, and it works. For 2 years we already have that system, and then you have enough free time and enough eggs, and you're not fed with this. And I think that this is the way, we will not go back to that old community regime, but we are trying to create the new one that fits our way of living. So we want to have our food, but we don't want to work for that food from the morning to the evening. But if we reorganize the way how we are working with the soil, how we are working with the plants, with the animals, it's completely feasible. This is what I want to share with you. So, and this is in the winter time, we put the chickens in my greenhouse. So chickens are using 1/4 of our greenhouse, and it's super. We have eggs all winter long because they're on a worm. And it's unbelievable how things are growing faster because, the CO2 is not a problem. CO2 is a solution. And all that gases that chickens are producing are really stimulate the growth. So chickens are making our greenhouse warmer. Greenhouse make their life nicer. And we have eggs during the whole winter. And when we pick up something, then we give them more and more space. And at the end, they have the whole space to clean, and to dig, and to prepare my greenhouse for the next season. This is also the very good things that work in practice. And also we cooperate when we prepare our, kako se reče, zimnica. We cook together, you see 3 different juice makers. One person has experience, one person has muscles, one person has a technology, and when we sit together, we made really perfect product for all. Because it's a really pity when you produce something and then you are not sure, how to make it, how to make your jam or something, or when everything is destroyed by some fungi. So it's very good to cooperate together, and I think that community is the most important thing for our resilience, but community that you choose, not community that you are forced to live with. And that self-sustainable projects are a very good way. Then other things that we are developing is co-housing. So this is my next project, is working on co-housing. So what we produced, if you have some people to come to when you're ill or when you're somewhere, to help you at time to time, then 2 people with some friends, without problem, can produce 2 tons of food. This is the list, 2 tons, 2,000 kilograms of food. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, sure. And it's a part-time. It's not. We're not. I'm not a farmer. I do a lot of other things. This is in line what other tests are showing. If somebody wants to know more, 4 to 8 kilos per square meter is what you may achieve if you really have a know-how and skill and some experience, because each area has some specific things. But as you see, if you work on a permacultural way, garden doesn't look so nice, but you have a lot of product if you know how to use it. It's not in line, it's not clear, but if you know which grass to take out and what to let in, you can produce about 8 kilos per square meters. And what is very important, permacultural way has the lowest costs. Also, biodynamic has very low cost, but it really requires more knowledge and skills. Classical garden, as you see, and the garden when you are eco, but you're buying everything, you know, all that preparation for protect or to feed plants. You know, you really can produce a lot, but it's not interesting for me because it's expensive. You have a lot of costs to produce something. So why I'm telling you this? They're telling us that agriculture is very efficient. Do you know how much corn or wheat per hectare is produced today? I'm sure that, you know, you're artists, it's not interesting data. But you know how shocked I was when I realized that agro corporations are proudly announced that they achieved 3.5 kilo of potatoes per square meters. You say hello? I achieved 2 times more without paying for potato, without paying for tractor, without paying for fertilizer and for chemicals. Who has a better know-how? You know, they're lying us that extension, this is something, you know, black, it cannot feed the world, they will feed the world. No, they cannot. They're destroying soil more and more, and they're producing less than you can produce without of any cost. But if you don't have the cost, they will not have a profit. You will not feed them, that's the problem. But it's not your problem. So our garden today, we will go to see, if you want, of course, we will go to see some high beds. And before we go to see high beds, I will show you how I'm planting on my high beds. Yeah. This is the part of that garden, but I will translate simultaneously. We are doing a lot of turns. We are putting things in soil, you know, every week. And I will show you how I combine different plants so that I get the most from 2 square meters. So permaculture is not always messy, you see, it could look very nice also. I call it, you know, my best sellers because through the years you get some idea what to put together that it work well. You see, in March we put our own plants. And this is salads, broccoli, fennel, blitva, evo tle imate seznam. And in February I have it covered with the, I will just put the sound. No. This is how we started in February. We produce our own seedlings. We put it in a hot bed, and then when in March, I just put some seno, oziroma slamo, as you will see in the next stage. And if you take care that you put together only plants that are frost resistant, you can start your garden in February. Okay, I don't know what is the situation in your area, so you must apply on you, but you don't need to wait, because we have a lot of plants that are very resistant. And if I just add some straw, then I can take the hotbed, and they're working well. And that hotbed is then good to start another one. And what is important, if I only want broccoli, in all that area, I will have just the 10 broccolis. But that salad is working very well if it is in the shadow. It's much better than on the sun. And you see, it's full, but I have that fennel and the broccoli. Under this, we have a salads. And when we start to pick up the salads, we make a new place for the another plant. So it's a 3-day game. You need to know how fast something will extend and how fast you will pick up something. And then you have the double use. Actually, from each my square meters, I'm getting 2 times more than somebody who had just one type of crop. And the safety element is also important. If it is not a good year for one plant, for example, you get some insect kako se reče, polži so? Snails. Snails. This year we had a lot of snails, and salad was in danger. Okay, nothing particular. You didn't lose 2 square meters. You just pick up the salad before, and then your broccoli and other things will work faster. This is the way how we combine it, and it looks also nice, but it's also very well for the plants. Now when we go outside, we will see what will be the best situation if, of course, those of you that want to cooperate. I always combine something that likes rain and something that likes sun. It's a lottery, but we always win because we always have one of the favorite that will win. You see here, we have the cabbage that wants rain, and we have the blitva and the kapucinka, it wants sun. So for one of those, it will be always fine. I will stop here. I hope that you get some, okay. I hope that you get some ideas.
Oh, yes, we did.
You get. What was the most important of everything you heard today?
Yeah, everything.
No, I think for me the most interesting part is that, you know, I never knew that planting a lot of, I never thought about it, that planting the same plant like on a very big area is not the best solution. I mean, to be honest, in my country, some of this, well, a lot of this will not work because we also have limitations on where to plant, how to plant, also the seeds, we don't get them, you know, the seeds that we're having are genetically
modified.
Yes, to only put it once and that's it, you know, and then it doesn't grow again. And you can't, also the fruit, you can't plant from it again. So it's not really as easy, but I'm impressed with the idea that with such a small or little money, you could do so much more than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you. It was really very informative.
Any other comments? Okay.